Hello guys, back again. This time we're going to talk about EA and Star Wars. Yes, Star Wars, the probably one of the most watched, loved, beloved movies, video games, books, merchandise, toys, just beloved by everybody. I grew up on the original movies. But basically, EA has come out and basically reiterated something that people should not expect the publisher's upcoming Star Wars games to be based directly on Star Wars movies themselves. Rather, EA is kind of liking this approach to, they say, to Warner Brothers' Batman Arkham Series of games. And basically their quote for this was, what Warner Brothers did with Batman was to take the core roots of the IP and manifest that inside the walls of Gotham City and deliver an interactive experience that had real ties to what we see in the films and what you read in the comics while having its own life because it could provide such a deep and more immersive storylines. EA CEO Andrew Wilson also told Fortune Tech, when we look at Star Wars properties, that's how we're looking at it. We're not trying to build a game that replicates the storyline of any particular film. Now, as you all know, May of last year, EA required the exclusivity Star Wars rights to make video games, and it revealed it was at least a 10-year contract. So for at least the next 10 years, EA is making Star Wars games. And it is known that, first of all, DICE is making, obviously, Star Wars Battlefront, and that it also seems that EA Canada is working on an open-world Star Wars action game, possibly in conjunction with Dead Space developer Viscera Games. And I understand, in a sense, why EA's come out and said this, because quite honestly, they're worried about people's expectations. Like, for example, take the Star Wars MMO, for example. Expectations for that got out of control, and when it didn't deliver what people expected to, people dropped off quickly. So people, to be honest with you, when I think of a Star Wars game, I always would love to have it set in the original movies. Of course, Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader. That's my favorite period of the Star Wars game. But there is a big universe. It's not like it hurts not to have those characters in it. But you gotta, people want to see the whole universe. People want to do everything, right? The thing, if you're gonna make a Star Wars game, like Battlefront's a pretty easy game to make, in a sense that all you have to do is throw all the vehicles and all the different races and figures and characters into the game, and a reason for it, and people are probably happy. Again, as long as the controls and the gameplay are good, that's more easy game. When you're doing any other type of game with Star Wars, you better have a good story, and it better not mess up anything to do with the timeline. One of the biggest things that drives me crazy about properties like this is when nobody's keeping the timeline correct, that they make stuff and it completely jacks up the timeline. They have to keep it in with the timeline. And to be honest with you, with several novels out, several comic books, fiction of Star Wars, there's a lot of places EA can go with it that would get people excited. And I get, they're trying to not build up people thinking, oh, this is going to be like Episode 7, we're going to see the original characters. They're trying to kill that before it gets out of control. Now, obviously, there's only a teaser for Battlefront. We haven't actually seen anything real gameplay of it. These games are still a ways off. But it is funny how they're trying to kill this now, right? Once you've seen the original trailer, a trailer for any of the games, and it doesn't show the original characters, you would assume that it wasn't based on the movies. But they also can't go like, okay, we're going to make this new game, and we're going to rewrite the entire world in our vision. They better not go that route, because fans, including myself, I won't like that. I want it set in the world that the movies are set in. I want it, that fiction is set. Don't go messing with it. There are plenty of cool novels that they could do. A lot of people would love to see some of the novels made into a video game. But we'll see where EA goes. We'll see what happens. Again, I still think it's disheartening that EA's got such a long contract. Because exclusivity of a long-term contract with a property sometimes can equal laziness. A lot of people will reiterate this to sport games. If you own a franchise and it's going to sell well, no matter how good or bad your game you're going to release, you might not put that much effort into it. And that's one of the worries about giving someone like EA a property like Star Wars. Now, don't get me wrong, if they have a bunch of different developers in-house and they give a bunch of different people a track at it, you could get some really cool games. Just don't be lazy with that IP. Of course, I'm assuming, I'm hoping that Disney puts some kind of clause that they're not happy at any time they could kill the contract. That way it keeps them in line. And clearly EA wouldn't want to make Disney mad because Disney owns a lot of their properties that they would, I'm sure, love someday to get a crack at making games for. So, what do you think about the fact that EA came out and said, you know what, don't expect the movie game, don't expect them to follow in line with the movies. Well, where would you like them to go if they don't follow the movies? What character would you like them to dig into that maybe it's a movie character, but maybe they dig into the character's past? Or what period would you like them to dig in? What book would you like them, or comic book that you've read that you'd love to see them do a game of? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and favorite. I do appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. Later.